Good morning. It's your girl Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration, right here on this amazing Wednesday. Thank you for joining us for Morning Inspiration with Friends. Before we get started, if you can go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button right down there, especially if you are on YouTube, it would greatly help the channel. And stay tuned because if you are living in Tulsa or thinking about moving to Tulsa, especially for like Tulsa Remote, and you are single, I want you to come here because this is a great conversation that I want to just have. I don't have the answers, right? I'm not a dating coach, I'm not a relationship coach, but I want to just kind of give some insight, especially as a person that has moved from a major city like New York City, um, and have moved to Tulsa, and I just want to give you my perspective about what dating is like here in Tulsa. So yeah, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button below. But yeah, so I moved here. No, officially moved here November 2023, and it's almost about to be 2 years that I've been here, fully 2 years. And I can say that dating here, I won't say is easier, but coming from New York City and having a very large uh, pool of options, it's like you have a lot of options, but it's like, what does those options really look like? And I feel like for me, Tulsa has a different culture and mindset from my perspective. One thing that I can notice, just looking at relationships as a whole, there are a lot of people here that are already married. And to me, that says a lot that some people could just really be marriage minded. So I have seen more individuals here, um, being connected already, married. Either they moved here for love with the person or they met somewhere and decided that Tulsa was going to be their home. Whereas in New York, you kind of get the player, let's play it by ear, let's see where this goes, situationship type of mentality. Not saying it doesn't exist here, but I'm just saying that overall, I do see that there are more marriage-minded people in Tulsa that like, look, I want to get my woman or my man, and we're gonna get married. Like that's like their end goal, and they're very clear about that. Um, but I think that culturally, that is like one of the hugest things that I've noticed about how they operate. Also they're really big on faith here. Like there's a lot of churches. I don't know if people know that Tulsa is. I feel as though we have almost every denomination here, and we have them in abundance. If you ever come to visit downtown, I think it's called Cathedral area, like a cathedral. I don't want to say area because that wouldn't make sense, but it's like a whole area and it's like a whole bunch of like big churches, Baptist, Catholic, like it's just massive. And I just think that's like a great, that also adds another layer that people are interested in. They want someone who is going to have that level of faith and community mindset. So that to me is a huge thing. Now I will say, I have when I first came here, 2023, 2024, I did the most dating, like actually going out on dates, with different men. And I will say the one thing that I noticed, and these are conversations, this is not Tanisha just talking, but many conversations I've had with women back home is we would encounter men that they're not stable, right? They don't have their own place. They're living in between, they're staying with this person, depending on, if the aunt is willing for them to stay, they'll stay with the aunt. And when the aunt's mad at them, they stay with the grandmother. There's like no, that they don't have a solid address. And I think that is something that out here is the one thing that I do notice a lot different. A lot of the men out here, hey Paula, happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Wednesday. Uh, a lot of the men out here, they do have their own place. A lot of them own homes already, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of them they came from a household that was based off based off of living in a house. So they would go and buy a house. They may not have the best house. They may not have the newest house. They may not have the biggest house, but they have their own homes. Or at the minimum, they just have their own apartments. And that's something that, I remember talking to my therapist about this last year. And she was just like, she lives in Rochester, New York. So this is why I say, like, regions matter, cities matter. It's not one state is not the same. And if you know New York City, and the rest of New York State, we're not the same, right? Two different mindsets. I actually feel like the men probably in northern part of New York, close to where she is, they also have the same kind of mindset, marriage mindset. They might already have their own homes, multiple cars, things like that, similar to what they have out here in Tulsa. And that's something that I've noticed, especially like out here. Like they have like everybody has like 2 and 3 cars. I'm always like shocked, but because we also have more space. Good morning, Kay. Oh, good morning. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing that with a friend. Appreciate it. Right? Because we need to have these conversations, especially about, being single and dating. Um, so I have not really encountered when I was dating, like men trying to move in, because I've had some guys try to move in when I was in New York. I won't even lie to y'all. I remember a dude like slowly trying to move into my house, and it's like you gotta like pay attention to that. Because it turns into, hey, I want to come over on a Thursday, and because I work remote, they want to stay on Friday, and then they want to stay on the whole weekend, and then Monday, and if they're not trying to go home, oh no, baby, you got to go. You got to go. Right? Tanisha not doing that. Right? Paula saying, yes, New York State, upstate New York is a different country. Two different worlds, right? So, so I remember having somebody trying to slowly move into my house. And you're realizing this, and some people let it happen. I've had my bad experiences. It's not for Tanisha anymore. Okay, you cannot just come and move in, especially if there's no conversation, especially if there's no relationship. Like this person, it wasn't even like we were locked, and it was just more of a we're still getting to know each other type of thing. But I like you enough to let you come to my house. This is why you can't let everybody come to your house, right? I'm just saying you can't let everybody come to your house. So that was like one of the huge differences is that I was meeting men, and it was just like, hey, we can meet up this place, they're not, I've never had anyone try to do the Netflix and chill. You can just come to my house, type of mentality. I've never had that here, but I cannot say that it doesn't happen because I have friends and my friends are telling me this is what's happening. Hey, they're telling me to come to their house. Girl, please don't. And they don't. And so we're never going to get away from those type of people. Some people are they might have the bare minimum, right? They might have their own place, their own car, but the mindset is still, they could be, everybody's listening to these podcasts. Somebody might be out there listening to this Red Pill podcast, whether they're in Tulsa, they're in Dallas, they're in New York City, they are going to listen. So we can't stop that, right? And it all really depends on who they are and what's their values and things of that nature. But like I said, I noticed that a lot of the men out here, their values are marriage, everything. What's the case say? Facts. Just because we're cool doesn't mean you can't come over. And yes, Kay, that goes for everyone. Friends, right? Some family can't even just like come out here. I'm not even gonna say anymore because I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. But you know what I'm saying? We gotta just be mindful of that. But yeah, so when you know the values, you're gonna start listening and start seeing. But I have had more dates here, right? When I was dating and I was, last year, like I said, I went on about 10 dates. And I feel like 10 dates in a year is pretty good. And I probably didn't even date the last quarter. Like I kind of just got tired of the dating apps. It was just like getting exhausted. And then I was about to go away. Y'all know I went to Medellin in the beginning of January. So I knew I was going to be away and I didn't want to start something new. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to be away for at least 4 weeks. And it ended up being 6 weeks. So just imagine how that person might have felt. But 8 dates, each one of them, they were great dates. Some of them we went bowling, restaurants, took walks. A walk was not the first date. Coffee dates. I did have a funny coffee date. Got to Starbucks. And he was like, "Do you want to get something?" So I was like, "Sure." And we get to the counter, and he was like, "So I don't got no money, so you're gonna have to pay for yourself." And I was just like, "Sir, like," and I have no problem paying for myself. I never do. I'm actually one of those people that I am okay with paying for the first date, paying for myself, like so going Dutch the first date, because I just don't want anyone feeling like, oh yeah, you owe me something, because I don't want to have to hurt your feelings. And so, as y'all know, that date, that was the first and the last time that I ever spoke to that person. But these are the things that was happening. It was just like, sir, you could have just said this like when we were having this conversation on the phone, that you didn't have your finances together. But like I said, you can't get away from certain things. But then, at least like I said, when I was in New York, I wasn't meeting guys that were serious about marriage. They were not serious about having this like their own. They want to like come and live with you. And I just want everyone to come at least a level playing field, right? Um, but that's like one of the hardest things that I have found in the past. The other thing that I've realized about a lot of the guys that I was encountering out here, they were they the ones that were marriage minded still didn't know what they really wanted, and I just felt like they were the type to just like kind of date anyone. So I don't think a lot of them had like a real preference. I don't think they had a type. I think it was just like a literally when you hear people say that guys are just swiping right on everyone, I really feel like out here that might really be the case, because you're just like, what do you want? Like, what kind of woman do you want? How do you feel about men, women dating without being established? You mean dating without a title? Oh, you mean not being established, like not having a job, not having. Is that what you mean, Kate? I just want to be sure. See, I like questions, because established it could mean many different things. Oh, nah, if you can't buy my coffee, then yeah, probably not. I probably would not, unless there's a situation, like unless there is a situation that like an extreme situation that happened. Um, and I was actually talking about this yesterday because I think about in 2016. So 2016 was my lowest point. I had no money. I was broke, about to lose my place. And I personally was like, I wasn't on dating apps. I wasn't trying to connect with anyone, but I still met people, right? And I remember meeting this one gentleman, and I talk about him in my book, Dear Single in Love. Um, when we met, I tried to block that because I was like, I'm not together. Like, I don't have anything. Like, I don't. My money is funny. I don't know if I'm gonna make the mortgage payment. I don't know if I'm gonna get an eviction notice. So, bro, I'm not even trying to see you. And he was just like, no, like, I think that we need to stay connected. And that's when I started the process of asking God, did you bring this person into my life, right? Because I never want to miss an opportunity, because God can change anything anytime. So today you could not be established, and then tomorrow you can get that six-figure job. Like, that's how God can move. And so we have to kind of move with, like, you got to kind of step away from what society is telling us, like, if you don't have this, you don't have that. What did God say first? And that's where that's the only reason why I was able to entertain that connection at that time, because I heard yes. Now, the yes did not mean this was my forever person. It just meant, yes, I brought this person into your life, and that person actually was a huge blessing to me, right? Like I said, I didn't have any groceries. That person bought me groceries, and I had to learn how to receive. So sometimes we have to remember, the people that you're going to connect with, it could be a lesson or it could be a blessing, right? And you could be on the receiving end of either one of those. So I had to stop with those like hard concrete, no, if it's not this, if he can't buy my coffee. In that situation, it was like my gut told me, girl, bye, right? Because I listened to my stomach, right? I listened to my gut. My gut is telling me, if you get that hard no, like, it's just a no, like, and that could be a no with somebody who can buy me coffee, right? So it's just like, you have to kind of like see where God is leading you. But if the person is just like, and the way he did it, it was just like, and even the barista was like, I could tell she was just like, sir, you really could have just, you could have told this girl this before, you know. And so luckily I'm not one of those like to get all angry and lash out. I pay for myself. It wasn't that serious, right? I have my Starbucks cup, my Starbucks card, so I get free refills. So I was getting up, going to get my second cup of coffee for free. And he was like, oh, you get a second cup for free? Yeah, that's what happens when you know how to pay for stuff. You know, so I was a little shady, but it was a great conversation because he was in a transition in his life. And that's why I allowed myself to play as a strategist, because I already knew there was not going to go beyond that meeting. So I allowed myself to be like, hey, you know what, maybe you could look into this, maybe you could look into that. He had just gotten laid off, and I know that just from what I observed in Tulsa, there's a lot of like staffing agencies out here. So I was like, hey, have you checked out some of the staffing agencies? Like, I've seen some of them, you know, at least 5 of them. And that's a lot for me because I haven't really seen staffing agencies that often. So I was like, maybe you should look into some staffing agencies. And he had a bachelor's degree. I'm always telling anyone who doesn't have and out here, you don't even need a degree. You could be a substitute teacher with a high school diploma. But I even told him about that. I was like, you know, you could also look into being a sub. You know, this way you can still bring in some kind of money. It's not going to be the biggest money, but it could be something. And that was it. Like, I left that conversation. I left that Starbucks knowing I was never going to meet this man again, and I was okay with that. Here is the amazing Jamie Anderson. So Jamie is a Tulsan. So Jamie, are you a Tulsan? Was you raised here? But she's a relationship coach, right? So you got to be, yes, just like you said, you got to be curious about it, but you still got to use that discernment, right? Some people's situations are going to be, they just don't want to work, right? And I've met people, right? I am a college professor. I work in adult education. I'm telling you, I've met students that have told me, they put me onto game on how they use women, you know, and how they use the system. And these are guys, like there were programs back in New York that was paying them to go to school. So they was getting a check, they was getting a Metro card, they meet a woman, they lay it down, like as they put it, I lay it down. Now they got a place to stay. She's giving them money every day. She's taking him to work, or she's giving him her car to go. Right? So I hear these things. Oh, she graduated in Owasso, which is our neighbors up north. Thank you, Jamie. But Jamie, maybe I need to bring you on here one day. We need to have this conversation, and you can give even more insight, because I'm just speaking from the little time that I've used dating. Because, like I said, when I came back in 2025 from Colombia and Panama, I really didn't date. I got back into being in Tulsa. I was missing Jelly Bean because he was still missing, and then once I got Jelly Bean, it was like shortly after I met my boyfriend. So it was just like, you know, it was just like I put myself out there. And I did that because actually one of my friends, she had just started a relationship, and she met her boyfriend on a dating app. And I had gotten to a point where I was just like, I got dating that fatigue. Like, do y'all know what I mean when I say dating that fatigue? We get tired. You get tired of seeing the same people, having the same conversations, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And so she had said to me, she was like, Tanisha, 30, just go 30 days solid and truly be intentional. She was like, give it a solid try. If you get that gut feeling that it's a yes, then swipe yes. If you get that feeling it's a no, then swipe no. She was like, and just try it. Like, give it 30 solid days, because I am notorious for getting on the dating app and getting off that app within like 48 hours, if even 48 hours. So when she challenged me in May to do that, that's when I ended up meeting him. And it was just like, okay, you know, and this was a person that had moved back to Tulsa, but he's from Tulsa. And it was just like learning again, like I said yesterday, I'm learning more things about the city, learning the history. he was raised in North Tulsa. In North Tulsa, you probably have heard, bad things about it. And he gives me more insight. Like, he was like, there's always going to be a bad part, right? And it's true because I finally watched First 48, and First 48, most of the crimes was happening in the area that I was told was like in the 60s down in South Peoria. So it was just like, okay, this person is giving me a little bit more details of what I'm reading and what I'm hearing. And, I'm able to learn a lot more about Tulsa because I'm dating him. Like last night we had the best barbecue, right? Well, I won't say the best, but it was really good barbecue. They potato salad was definitely hitting. And and it was a part of Tulsa I have never been to. So we're driving, and I'm driving because he broke his leg, so he cannot drive right now. And I'm driving, and I heard him say, I could have sworn he said make a left. And he was like, "Where are you going?" Like, make a right. And I was like, "All right, like there's food up there." I know he probably was like, "This girl, what is wrong with her?" And so I'm like, "Babe, I've never been in this part of town. Like, I've never driven down this road. I'd had no clue that this restaurant was here. Another restaurant that I heard about, I thought was the other direction. And I was just like, dang, like, and when we got the food, and I was like, yo, this food is really good. And it's just like, again, you get those like hidden gems from the people that are from here because they know those, hole in the walls, mom and pop shops that make the really good food, the stuff that's not on Uber Eats, the stuff that's not on DoorDash. And that's what I had appreciated. And so that's the one thing that, I'm loving and I'm learning is like you meet the people that are from here. They have a different mindset, you know, they're marriage minded. They think about buying homes. They want to buy a home, and they just want to grow with you. And honestly, the icing on the cake. And I saw a post. A gentleman posted this on Threads last week or 2 weeks ago, and he was like, "You better get you a New York dude. We the best dudes. We can do it all." No, y'all can't. Y'all could barely change a light bulb. I was like, "Get you a dude from the South or from the Midwest." I said, "Guarantee you, they could fix something, like something." And I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook post last night. My garbage disposal started acting crazy, and he was down there fixing it, and I'm just like, and it's something as small as just cleaning out the garbage disposal. But y'all don't understand that. If I had to hire my handyman to come in and to do that, that's going to be about $75 to $150, maybe even more. I could not, like, I really could not call any of my ex boyfriends, not dudes that I knew, not guys that I dated, ex boyfriends, and say, hey, can you come and fix that? I could never do that. So it feels great when you can just say, hey, this is not working. Could you look into this? Or, you know what? I need my TV mounted. Could you do that? It's just the small things that I never realized mattered so much that matters so much, because it saves us money. Anytime that you have to pay somebody to come in to do something, it saves you a lot of money. And you just have someone who's just like, let me do this for you. Let me fix this for you. I'm not used to that. So that's something that I can say since I've been out here. Little things, it could be small things, putting furniture together. I have encountered more men that have been more open to like, sure, I can come put that together for you. Sure, I can, and don't want anything in exchange. They're not trying to come over. Like I remember I had one guy. We were cool for like a couple of months, and he would come put stuff together for me, help me out with things, and it was never like, so can we go in the room? It was never that type of exchange, never that type of energy. And I appreciated that because I know that, especially being in a new city when you don't have the support, you don't have that, I have friends, but these are people I just met. So you don't really know, like, if something was to happen, who could I really call, and you just have to put yourself in a situation where you got to open yourself up a little bit, but still, of course, be very cautious. So always, always, always use discernment. And as Kay said earlier, just don't invite them to your house. like everybody don't need to know where you live, right? I love the fact that Tulsa is small enough that I can get places and you don't have to come pick me up on a first date. We can meet there, right? So I don't know. Try the dating apps, you know, try different dating apps, look into a coach maybe. Like I said, I ended up coming across Jamie Anderson because I was in that space of like maybe, just maybe, I should look into like a dating coach or a relationship coach. Um, I did look into a matchmaker. I never went that route. I never actually like had a consultation, but I do know that there are some matchmakers out here. And I just think that if we were to open ourselves up a little bit more, take away, they got to be 6 feet, take away those superficial things and start looking at like who they are as a person at the core. What's those values? Learn those values early. And I think that's something that if there's any lesson that I can give you to anyone, whether you're dating in New York, New Jersey, or Oklahoma, what are their values? Know your values, and hopefully they'll know theirs. And then that right there can tell you a lot. Because if you don't know, then you're gonna just kind of be going and you're gonna going with the flow and flowing somewhere that you don't want to go. And I know for me, I don't want that anymore. So that's something that I'm trying to definitely, date smarter. Like I said, I am now in a relationship and it's still new. I think we're just hitting 3 months. And it's like, okay, we're just still kind of like working out the kinks and learning one another. There are situations that are happening. Like I said, his leg is broke. So he's still in the healing process, and that's a challenge, right? Because a lot of the things that I desire to do right now we can't, because well, he can't. And he still encourages me like go, because he knows like I love concerts. Go to the concert. I'm not going because I don't feel safe, and that's understandable. So there's a great level of understanding, and then we just figure out the things that he can do, and then we just do that, and we have a great time doing it, and it's a lot of fun. So thank you, Kay. I appreciate that. Thank you. So there is hope. Like I said, I've actually met two women that were not a part of Tulsa Remote that moved to Tulsa, or at least to the area. They like one lives in like Muskogee, which is like an hour away, I want to say, and she said that she met her now husband, while they were traveling. He lived out here and she lived somewhere else, and she actually moved out here to be with him. And I met another young lady. They're engaged. Yeah, they're engaged, but she moved out here to be with him as well. So I feel like there's some good men out here. There's some good men, right? There's some good men out here. They're just not gonna probably, they may not have the blue collar. I mean, they may not have the white collar, jobs, but they might, blue collar workers. They work hard. That's the one thing I know. They work hard, and they could do a lot more. So I just appreciate that, and thank you, Paula. Yes, you got to know your values and you have to know your worth, right? So I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of what is to come. And like I said, I'm such at a space where I'm like, I understand that sometimes everything is not going to be like your forever, but I'm just like, you know what, God, we both hurt, yes, because I was like, look, you need to ask God if He sent me into your life as well. It can't just be me saying, God, did you send me into this person's life? And so that at least we are at a good foundation, and then we're gonna just keep going and progressing through that as well. But right now, the main focus is his healing and getting him back on his 2 feet without crutches. So that's going to be a challenge, but you know nothing's going to be perfect, and that's the one thing that I had to learn. It doesn't have to be perfect. And a good friend of mine, she actually sent me something like 3 weeks ago, and the person said they rather see the bad early than later. And I think that to me that makes a lot more sense, because I've seen perfect relationships, right? Everything is perfect, and then life hits them, and now you see the side of the person that they can't handle the bad moments. They can't. Sorry. They can't handle the bad moments. They can't handle the challenges. They can't handle the hard moments. They don't know how to deal with that. But now you invested 2, 3 years, and now something bad has happened or something has impacted the relationship, and you're like, I don't even know who this person is, right? So I would rather see things early as possible, just to kind of see how do you handle, situation like those situational questions that they ask you on jobs, like, tell me about a time that you had to experience a difficult time in a relationship. Like, I would rather see that earlier. That's just my opinion. And so he's able to see how can I handle him, not being able to drive. Like, those are things that there are some men that if they can't drive, like, they just don't feel as though that they're a man. And so I know that that could possibly bother him. So I'm like, look, are you okay with me driving? I mean, first he had to be okay with my driving. And I remember one time I was like, I'm driving on the highway and I was like, do you feel safer? He was like, I'm still in the car. And I'm like, really? But that's something that's huge for someone. Some people, they may never ever have to deal with someone else doing something for them until God puts them in that kind of situation. Now they have to learn how to, oh, I got to deal with somebody else, driving me around, because in this season, this is where I'm at. And I think that's something that he's learning. Like, sit back, relax. Like, this is not because you can't drive, because I've dated someone who can drive. It's not because you don't want to drive. I've dated people like that. You just cannot drive, right? And this is the huge difference. This is why every situation is different. That's why I question that Kate asked earlier. Like, it can't just be a blanket statement anymore. It really does have to be based off of the situation. So that's something that I think. But relationships aren't perfect, like Paula said, but they're perfect for wherever you are. And I definitely agree with that. So I'm gonna stop here. If y'all have any more questions, drop them down below. Again, if you have not, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, because it helps the channel and it helps this video to get out to more people. But thank you for being here. Thank you for asking questions and commenting. You know how much I appreciate that. Tomorrow is Thursday, so it will be a throwback Thursday message. But just as a reminder, next week is going to be a full throwback Thursday. So I will be replaying the Living and Thriving as Miss Inspiration. It's going to start from that next week, from Monday all the way to Friday. So I just wanted to put that out there, but I will be here in spirit with you. And if I can, I'll be on, in the comments, so you can still engage with me during the comments as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. Next week will be a full replay of Living and Thriving as Miss Inspiration. So Kay said, I find that some people have a hard time being transparent from jump. I prefer the transparency because that gives me the option to choose. Kay, you sound like me, right? I'm a straight shooter. Give me the straight shoot, right? I'm a straight shooter. Give me the straight. What, like, I had to learn how to throw out there. These are my flaws. These are the things that I do. These are the ways that I handle things, and I think so many people struggle with that because so many people don't know themselves. So it's hard. A person who doesn't take the time to really learn who they are, it's hard for them to articulate that. And I think that's the problem that a lot of people have. People have to learn how to figure out, who are they, right? What is it that you want? What is it that you don't want? Do you know how many people don't know what kind of person they want in a relationship? So they waste your time. They waste their time. Because honestly, I feel like no matter what, if you are the person who is like, yeah, I'm not really sure. Oh, yeah, I want a relationship. And they say things like that and they really don't want a relationship, they're wasting their own time. But yeah, I think in order for transparency to be possible, everyone needs to know what they want. And I think that is where we are. A lot of people don't know. This is why you have so many people on dating apps and, they're just swiping. There's no intent. There's no, I don't, they still don't know. They're like, I don't know. Like, or they get caught up in their feelings and they forget, like, oh, wait, I didn't want a relationship. But you got, what's going? Yeah. Transparency. Keep being transparent, Kay. And I'll continue to pray that you also will meet someone who's transparent. But yeah, people, we gotta figure out what we want. And even if you don't want a relationship, be transparent about that. Like, I tell people all the time, I would rather you tell me the hard truth than to tell me an easy lie. Tell me the hard truth. You don't want a relationship, you just want to have sex. Like, just put that out there. This way we can get to the root of it, and we can quickly end this conversation. Because the person, the man that's out there looking for a woman who just wants sex, he needs to find that person. And I'll give y'all this one example. So Tinder has tried to do like a whole revamp. They don't want to be known as the hookup site. So they started to add like different groups, right? So if you want coffee dates, right, you can go into the coffee date group and you can match with people that are looking for coffee dates. So you see those conversations online where everybody's like, I don't want no coffee date. Then you don't go over there and you don't engage with the people that want a coffee date. And then they also have a section with people who are looking for love, and then people who are looking for fun. And we all know what fun means. You just looking for a hookup. One thing that I found, and this is why I got frustrated on the app, because I would go into looking for love, right? And so you're matching with people, and they distinguish it. It's like some kind of icon. So I'm looking for love. You swipe that you're looking for love as well. But now when we have a conversation, and these are people that are very vocal and they're honest, that he was like, yeah, I'm just looking to smash. Why are you over here then? Like, that's where I got frustrated, because it was like, so why were you in the I'm looking for love? Looking for love and smashing are not in the same category. So get out the sandbox of looking for love and go into the sandbox of looking for fun, right? Because the people that are looking for fun, they're there with you. And y'all can commingle. And now y'all can play together in that sandbox. But when you're in my sandbox, pretending or swiping, saying that you're looking for love when you know that you have no desire for love. That's where I get frustrated. That's where I say people need to learn how to figure out what it is that they want and then go there. You just you don't mind coffee dates, then go there. But if you are looking for the 5-star Ruth Chris for the first date, then why are you in coffee dates? Because that's not what you desire. So I just feel as though when people start figuring out what it is that they want, they stand firm in it, they're true to it, and then they go in those circles, then we should find someone that has at least similar values and desires. Unfortunately, yeah, we're gonna have people that's gonna try. This is why people get frustrated with like Christian mingles, because I try Christian mingles, and literally, like, I remember like the first 100 swipes, at least 50 of them, when this is years ago. This is when I was on POF. Y'all remember on Plenty of Fish, and I think it's still popular too. But like within the first 100 swipes, at least 50 of them were the dudes that was swiping on Plenty of Fish, that was talking crazy sexual, like, from the moment that so we got started. And it was just like, but why are you over here? Like, sir, ma'am, please get out. Like, I just need everybody go into your sandbox. Go into your sandbox and stay in your sandbox. And we will all be happy. At least that's just my theory, right? That's just Tanisha's theory. I might be too my theories might be too big and it might not make sense to everyone, but I just feel if we all learn how to play in the sandbox that we desire, we will have better outcomes in the dating world. That's just me. That's just me. Okay, so I am almost at 40 minutes and I never go this long. So I'll be back here on Friday and we can continue this conversation. So drop some more comments below if you do. And if you want, I will definitely pick up this conversation on Friday, because tomorrow is Throwback Thursday. I am Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. Have a great day. Be well, be blessed. See you soon.